Just the ability to stop everything and work together to achieve a common goal. Not every company has that type of culture that will come together for the customer and put it first above everything else. And I feel everyone demonstrated that in ways I've never seen before. COVID was rampant in India at that time. It was out of control. They were desperate for these oxygen generators. They had used our valves in the past in the oil industry, but this was for oxygen generators for hospitals. So it was a completely different application than we had interacted with them before. They needed something within about 3 to 4 weeks, which means we would have to do it in under 2 weeks with shipping and everything to get it all the way to India. Right then I said yes. I was 99.9% sure of my answer, and I knew once I took it to the executives, they would rush it through.
I remember early one morning just getting an email from Chris Mincor expressing his desire to help not just this particular customer, but also just the entire country of India. And it was really more of a global people issue more so than just a business issue.
The supply chain team all came together and started looking at what materials and what parts that we would be short. And from there, we started expediting and moving things through.
Several of the parts were things that we didn't manufacture very often, so they were still in sample development or didn't have machine programs.
We didn't have a certain part on hand. I contacted the supplier we were working with to see how fast they could get them to us. My first concern was these parts aren't even approved for production. So that was my first concern. And then, usually when we are sampling parts, that can take 2 weeks to a month to get completed. We had to go through the steps to get it approved first and then get the parts on order. So all this took place in about a day, and which was very impressive for Kimray as a company and for them to be able to provide all the information we needed.
So the main product they needed was actually a suspended part from Kimray because of some of the special components that were involved in it were no longer commercially available. And so the team used some creativity to find alternatives. Effectively, we ran it through the process and we made it happen in an incredible amount of time.
We had one part in particular that we would normally source with one of our outside machine shops, but their lead time can be quite long. So we actually determined that we could put it on a machine here at Kimray, but all of our castings were at the outside machine shop.
Angela had discussed about needing some 1704 castings. It was the end of the day. They were needing them the next day to get started to hit a due date. So I told her, hey, I would go down there and get them for her. She said she needed 25 castings. So I asked them, hey, can you go ahead and put 50 in there? And so I drove up there, grabbed them that evening and brought them back so that they could hit their due date the next day.
We let the international sales team know that they were done after 10 days. And then they worked with our freight forwarder and had those parts air freighted to India. What we found out later in the process is that Oxair asked, could we provide a second 25 valves in another 2 weeks? And because Scott had picked up that extra 25 valves, we were able to provide a second 25 valves in just another week after the first ones were delivered.
I think that we make a difference in people's lives every day, but when you talk about saving a life, I think that made this project that much more important. Not just to me, but to every team member at Kimray. And obviously, we wanted to help Oxair be able to do just that. They had a mission to get these valves into commission at hospitals so that they could save every life possible. And so it was very important to us. I think it made everyone that much more determined to step up and make this happen.
So I never heard a company, manufacturer stop their all the production, and they supported us and delivered us 50 valves within a week time. I never heard this. I'm really thankful to Kimray. I have never heard anyone supported like this. Really thankful to Kimray.
Chris, my principal Jim has told, Ashok, how did you manage Kimray delivering within 15 days? I said, I don't know. I just wrote one piece of mail saying that, can you please help us out? That's it.
Once I told them, everyone was on board. It took a lot of work, but every single person knows what we do and why we do it. So it actually went quite well.
What a great story of teamwork, flexibility, and extreme customer service. This is just one example of why Kimray is such a special place to work. Thanks to everyone who made this story possible. You've inspired all of us to step up and accept the challenge of making a difference in the lives of those we serve. Caring for others is the right thing to do, and it's the Kimray way.